द इकोनॉमिस्ट रेसिलिएट फ्यूचर समिट 2026 समिट में सागर अडानी संबोधित कर रहे हैं।
So if India is to become a developed country by 2047, we are not talking about incremental growth. We are talking about a structural leap. We're talking about adding nearly 2,000 gigawatts of new capacity to the India's energy grid over the next 2 decades. All this while ensuring that this energy remains affordable, accessible, and increasingly clean. That, my friends, is a scale of the opportunity, and that's India's most defining challenge. When you look globally, countries that have built resilience at scale have always done one thing exceptionally well. They've always secured their energy foundations. Most developed and prosperous countries are either energy independent or have built deep strategic energy partnerships. We don't have to look very far, as Vijayji was alluding to earlier, to find a more relevant example. China, despite being constrained in both oil and gas just like India, has systematically invested in significant energy resources domestically. They've built strategic reserves and they've strengthened and hardened supply chains. Yes, of course, it remains dependent on global energy flows, but the level of resilience it has built over the last 2 decades is very remarkable. And the outcome is not just energy security. It is industrial strength, economic stability, and global competitiveness. For India, the path forward is clear. We must electrify everything. We must reduce structural dependence on imported energy. We must build an energy backbone that is anchored in resources that are available within our country. That is India's only credible path to long-term stability. But of course, electrification at scale demands one thing above everything else, and that is a massive growth in electricity supply. And this is where we must be pragmatic. Renewables will and must scale rapidly. Storage technologies will continue to evolve, but there are real constraints, particularly both around land and intermittency. Which means that to truly close this gap, India must adopt a portfolio approach. We must leverage fully every single energy source available to us. Renewables, yes. Hydro, yes. But also efficient thermal and nuclear. Because without firm, scalable baseload power, the math simply does not work. This is not optional for India, it is inevitable. It would be very incomplete to not recognize the role that the government and the country's leadership has played in enabling this journey. Over the last decade or more, India's leadership has played an exceptional role in cutting red tape, getting rid of unnecessary and outdated regulations, revitalizing public undertakings, and encouraging private enterprises. Countless macro and micro policy initiatives by the government have resulted in an environment where businesses can grow, flourish, and prosper. India has seen a clear, consistent, and increasingly execution-oriented policy stance. From accelerating infrastructure deployment, expanding renewable capacity, strengthening transmission networks, and enabling long-term investments, there has been both clarity of intent and continuity of action. And that continuity is the most critical enabler for resilience. Coming to the role of industry and specifically the Adani Group, at our core, we see ourselves not only as infrastructure operators, but as fundamental builders of India's energy backbone over the next several decades. Our chairman, Mr. Gautam Adani, has committed over $100 billion towards energy transition, one of the largest private sector commitments globally. But more importantly, it is not a mix of isolated investments. It is an integrated strategy. We are building one of the world's largest renewable energy portfolios, investing in large-scale energy storage, expanding transmission networks, and looking to develop green hydrogen ecosystems. Beyond energy, our presence across ports, logistics, airports, and data centers is a part of the same vision. And that vision is that resilience can never be built in silos. It can only be built through integrated ecosystems. Energy powers industry, logistics enables trade, and digital infrastructure drives productivity. And when these systems work together, you don't just create growth, you create durable resilience. So if I were to leave you all with one thought, it would be this. The real question is not whether India will need more energy. That already is very clear. The real question is how fast can we build it? Because in the end, resilience can never be built through intent alone. It is only built through execution, through the ability to create infrastructure at scale, at speed, and with purpose. And if India gets this right, we can deliver, if we can deliver abundant, affordable, and clean energy at the scale that is required, we will not just secure our own future,